For the first time in Israel's 73-year history, Jews around the world who want to immigrate to Israel now are banned from doing so. It's because Ben Gurion Airport has been shut down for the last 2 weeks. Health officials are also now lobbying to keep the airport closed even longer, perhaps even after the lockdown eventually is lifted. Right now, there's no entry, no exit for citizens or for foreign nationals, as virus mutation fears continue to grow here in Israel and around the world. We'll explore the issue further as part of our series, Olim Stories. All that being said, there are still many Jewish men and women around the world who want to immigrate to Israel, who planned on immigrating to Israel now, even amid the pandemic. In fact, Nefesh B'Nefesh, a nonprofit group that promotes Aliyah, assists North American families with the entire process from beginning to end. Reports that over 6,700 applications were open last year. It is a 126% increase in interest in Aliyah. With us now in studio is Mark Rosenberg, the Vice President of Diaspora Partnerships with Nefesh B'Nefesh. But we'll begin this conversation with Naomi Tamora, who is a new immigrant-to-be from America, joining us from Pennsylvania. She had planned to make Aliyah, had the flight in late January. It was pushed back, now had to be pushed back again. No clear exact date yet, with the airport still closed. Naomi, I'd imagine disappointment is one word for how you're feeling. I mean, how else are you feeling right now?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I would say, three main reactions, three main feelings. The one is definitely shock. Yeah, as you mentioned, it's the first time in Israeli history that Olim have not been able to enter the country. I also feel a lot of sadness. I was really looking forward to making Aliyah after all the time of waiting and the long, lengthy process, reuniting with friends who I haven't seen in over a year. And I also feel gratitude, though, gratitude that I can spend more time with family. And I know that not everyone has that opportunity also to be, with a roof over their head, or even homes that they can be in. I know many people actually sold their homes. So
yeah. Well, for you, Naomi, I mean, you planned on already being in Israel. Did you already kind of leave your job and break rental contracts and sell your car, that kind of thing? I mean, what had you already done expecting to be in Israel already?
Yeah, so I had been living with my parents since April. I had moved back from New York City at the start of the pandemic, so I didn't have any apartments that I needed to, terminate any leases on, or any homes that I needed to vacate. But I did have to, give my notice to my job, and I did. And so the past few weeks, since I've learned that my late January flight has been canceled, has been a weird limbo period without working. I'm all packed, so I'm ready to go, but I have to wait longer.
Yeah, well, we're ready to welcome you to Israel. I want to turn here in studio to Mark. Mark, it's kind of a weird dichotomy here. You have a tremendous growth in interest in people who want to make Aliyah, but officially, and for the first time ever, right now, they cannot do it.
Yes, it's a very weird limbo situation. I think so much of the time as Aliyah advisors and planners, we worry about that limbo period after you arrive. And most people can time it right, but the timing is just, it's awful. And unfortunately, we got used to it with so much of the pandemic and the planning, and Nefesh B'Nefesh put a lot of effort to work with people to the interviews, make sure with the Jewish agency can get the interviews to happen, and Misrad HaKlitan to know that they're going to arrive. But this is just another challenge that was put before us to say that, and not to know that it's going to be officially over next week is especially difficult.
A unique thing certainly for 2021, and we don't know how long the lockdown may be extended for, if there'll be a fourth lockdown, if the airport closure will linger. I mean, what are you advising applicants or people interested who want to make Aliyah when it comes to leaving their jobs or selling their personal belongings or homes? I mean, how do you, because we don't know exactly what the airport situation is going to be.
So I think that we do have the benefit that this is a global pandemic, and everywhere around the world, there are many airports in Europe that are also closed, and people are having difficulty getting back to visit their family and travel around. So there's a great sense of understanding, and I empathize so much with everyone who was stuck and in that period of time. But we're working to make sure that we're lobbying with the government to make sure that we're in sync. We do not want to be a cause or be a part of the spreading of any variation of this illness. We understand the policy and why it's implemented, but we are working so as soon as the airports are open that we understand the first seats on the planes are going to be available to Olim.
And it must be encouraging that there is still a growth, a steady number of interest in people who still want to make Aliyah despite the health pandemic.
Well, I think it's the health pandemic has given people this opportunity to recalibrate where they want to be and where they want to go to. So that time spent at home or the time working from home has just opened up this window of opportunity. And for people to be able to see where it's going to go, the longer that this limbo holds is causing more people to express that interest. And we're working around the clock with our advisors to make sure that all of the packages and paperwork is together. We just need to know when the airport's opening.
Naomi, tell me a little bit about your story. I mean, why do you want to immigrate to Israel, even amid the pandemic? Why are you willing to uproot your life and start a new life here in the Jewish state?
So I grew up in a Zionist youth movement here in the States, and I went to Jewish summer camp for many years, probably more than a decade. And I met a lot of my best friends through that experience. And I also went on their summer gap year program or summer teen trip, and then a gap year program after high school. And those were really important experiences to me in my identity as a Jewish woman. And I think that visiting Israel many times through that youth movement and meeting my friends, many of whom are also Olim and have been in Israel for the past few years, two of whom made Aliyah actually over the past 9 months during the pandemic. I'm excited to join them and to live with them. And I also want to continue working with youth. I was a summer camp counselor, so I feel like that's a really important experience.
Yeah.